All right, so this is the fuel sender here. This actually comes with a longer bracket. When you get this, I'll show you here. When you get this from your kit, or even if you buy a fuel sender on your own, you're gonna get these two brackets that are kind of sandwiched together here. And I'll show you there, and you can see it here. But these kind of come sandwiched together. It's actually universal fuel sender. You got to custom cut it to your specifications for your fuel tank. Not a big deal. It just requires you to do some measuring. Of course, per the instructions, what came with this Tanks EFI tank, it has you remove this here. It's held down by a couple of screws. You don't need it because the depth of this tank here is a little bit over 6 inches, I believe, if I remember correctly. And they say if it's between 6 to 15 inches deep, then you can discard this bad boy here. You're not going to use this extension on that because just the gas tank is not deep enough. So this is the finished product of the fuel sender. You know, pretty straightforward here, but a couple things that you need to do, like I said. You know, if you read the instructions properly, you'll know that it'll look very similar to this here. And essentially what I did is this existing bracket that's here, you have to cut this here. You got to measure this whole thing per the instructions. The instructions are fairly easy in my opinion. All you got to do is just read them properly. And here's the instructions. It says here this bracket here should be the measurement of half the depth of the tank plus 1/8 of an inch for this gasket here. So that's what it has you measure for that. As long as you measure the depth of that, and mine actually said, if I could find my notebook. So this Tanks EFI depth over here on the fuel sender itself, mine measured in, and always measure your tank just in case there's any inconsistencies. But this one measured 6 3/4 of an inch deep. And multiply that by half per the instructions here to take half of the depth of the tank from the length of the bottom of the mounting plate there to the very bottom of here. Well, the mounting screw, I should say. So anyways, half an inch, 6.75 of an inch, you get 3.375 of an inch. And then again, it wants you to add in that 1/8 of an inch, and it's a fraction, so I turned it into a decimal, and I get 3.5 inches in length from the top of this plate here to the very bottom of here. So again, you're gonna have to cut this plate, this mounting plate here, which I did here, which is pretty flush with the bottom of this per the instructions, okay? The next thing, you need to put your gasket right here. If I flip this over, the instructions outline that you got to have this this float, and again, this one comes with a pretty long stem. Let's see if I can find it here. Anyway, to illustrate here, this comes with a pretty long stem here. This is an exploded view, so yours is not going to look like this, I don't believe. Or maybe I screwed up here. I don't know. Maybe I did screw up. Maybe it's fine. Anyways, it doesn't actually say that there should be a specific length with these two. What it says is that it should, and I don't think it's going to matter, but I'm going to have to call and ask these guys. But anyways, what they want you to do is to have the top of this float here to match the height of the gasket cork that you see here itself. That you see here. So they want it to be perpendicular to that, or parallel to that, I'm sorry. So then there's going to be some part of your stick here sticking out more depending on your setup. and they want you to cut off the excess float arm here, so that way it rests on this part here, which this one does right there. See how that rests there? I mean, you guys totally see it. And that's still perpendicular or parallel to that part right there. So it's perfect. I guess it could be longer. I don't think it really matters too much, I hope. But before I actually finish this part up, I'm just gonna call it and ask just to double check. You know, the instructions don't really say to have a specific length here, which I wish it did, but I guess it's gonna be fine. So I didn't see anything else telling me otherwise. But yeah, that's pretty much it here. And then this bad boy goes slide it in here. And again, you're gonna put a thin coat of gasket maker around here, slide this bad boy in, and then use the bolts or screws the bolts here. Use these bad boys here. You torque them to half a foot-pound. And I really just, like this one here, I just really torqued them by hand and kind of just guesstimated it just to kind of give them torqued well. You can see a little bit of that gasket maker there. But other than that, this wasn't too hard. This one was a lot more involved from a measuring perspective. So the instructions are pretty good. Just read them thoroughly. It's a little harder to do when you're kind of videotaping this to make your video, but you know, outside of that, this one was pretty easy to follow if I'm not worried about, you know, am I creating too many shadows or you guys aren't seeing things properly. So yeah, just double check that and you guys will be good there. This one's pretty easy. You know, you want to add gasket maker on that. This sits on top here and you just slide this tube on top, fits in there, and then you put your fuel filler neck in there and you're done. So once I find this part out here, just to double check this flow to make sure that's correcto, I'll put this bad boy in case I did screw up. Here's the other spare one that I have from the other kit. So hopefully I don't have to use this. Hopefully this will be fine and we'll get moving on that. And then once this is completed, I'm going to go ahead and put that into the Cougar. The other thing that you don't want to forget is the strip cock. So strip cock is here. This is going to go around the perimeter that meets the bottom of here and then the sheet metal of the vehicle. So definitely don't forget that. That's going to go all the way around, and this is going to really help seal that, seal the tank to the sheet metal of your vehicle. And then of course you bolt these into the existing holes. I'm actually going to go a step further and add some Rivnuts to the sheet metal of the vehicle. That way there's a pretty good bond versus the screws that they're normally supplied from the OEM. That should make things real nice and tight and just make it a lot cleaner. So once I get this part sorted out here, I'll put a small walkthrough or B-roll action of everything installed. Hey guys, I am done with the gas tank now, assembling the sending unit and the fuel pump, and then also the water neck stub that came with the gas tank kit. So let's check it out. Let's flip this over so I can show you what we went through. And then actually I'll talk a little bit about the fuel sender, because I wasn't too sure whether that was going to work as is, since it was kind of stubby. The float was a little stubby compared to what the illustration showed. But let me go into the details and talk to you guys what I did there, okay? All right, guys, there it is. Fully assembled gas tank for EFI. So just as a reminder for this, I'm going to be using the ACES fuel injection kill shot kit that was just released. If you guys did not pre-order, you guys missed off on that 10% discount. But still, given the neat features that this EFI system has, even at the existing MSRP, if you will. It's still a great deal. So guys, check that out. Ace's Fuel Injection for their EFI kit. And I have the whole suite of products for the ignition kit and all that good stuff. Comes with a launch feature and a bunch of miscellaneous items. Check out the video here at the upper top, but let's go ahead and get started here. So, hey, here's the fuel sender here. It's bolted in place. Doesn't give you actual torque specs to do that, but it just says 1/2 foot-pound. So I just snug them just to try to make sure that I have them pretty snug. So these do have an O-ring at the bottom of them. Can't really see it there. You can slightly see that shadow there. But you can slightly see that shadow there, but there's an O-ring underneath it. I just went torqued it down to it got kind of squished and spread a little bit. You don't want to tighten it up too much, because then it's going to rip the O-ring and you're kind of screwed. And that's designed to keep fumes from coming out of these bolt holes. So very, very important there. Okay, so the fuel sender, the way I had set up versus what the instructions show, and I don't have them near me right now, so I won't talk about those. But the instructions had the fuel float pretty extended out compared to this part right here. So the fuel float on the illustration was like way out here. I don't know how many inches this is over here on this side, but it was pretty way out. So this one here, the one I put together based upon the instructions, essentially had this part here. Let's pretend it's my finger here, and mine was like about right here. So it's actually very close all the way up when the gas tank is full, but it did go all the way down to illustrate that there's going to be, or to tell you that on your gauge that you have no fuel or low fuel. Okay, so that's good right there. We're good to go there. This was already completed prior, so I showed you guys what that looks like, but again, check out what I said in the earlier comments if you missed that part of it. You can scroll back in the video to check out that stuff. These are the wires here themselves, all good here. We'll crimp these and wire them up as accordingly as needed. And then here's the last part here. This is the fuel filler stubble neck part of it. This thing sits on top like so, and then you can tell my labeling is super faded, and it's actually been indoors the whole time. I believe I got this from Mustangs Unlimited, which they're out of business now. But anyways, that's done here too. Again, these do have O-rings as well. So again, like I said with this part here and also these, just make sure that you snug them down enough. And don't forget that gasket maker too between the cork and the sheet metal here. Add some gasket maker there just to add another layer of sealant, and we're good to go. So I guess this at this point here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this bad boy inside the trunk, which I'm super excited. But let's get to it. All right, guys, well, here it is. Gas tank has been put in place here just to make sure that some of these holes down here around the perimeter match up to the existing holes. I did find a couple here that it's going to require me to drill out through the sheet metal, but not a big deal. Again, as I said, I'm going to do Rivnuts instead of using those large screw type of bolts. Thought I'd look a little nicer, be a little easier for maintenance down the road too if I ever need to take it down itself. Jeez, I keep freaking hiccuping. Anyways, I thought I'd just show you guys a pic of that here. I just added the 6AN, the minus 6AN fittings on here just to put those on there. I'm going to be running the PFTE hoses through here. And then I got to figure out where I'm going to drill some holes and put bushings, not bushings, but rubber grommets in the sheet metal here. Let me know if you guys have, where do you guys prefer to run these hoses? I'm probably going to do a search on the internet just to see where other guys and gals have put that at. But hey, this looks pretty good. I'm a little bit worried about the view on the bottom of the vehicle, and I'll show you guys this in a bit, but If you guys haven't seen my other posts and some of my other videos, you know, I have an IRS kit in here for the suspension on a 68 Cougar, which is kind of unique. There's in the mini tubs. So I'm really not gonna be able to see that anymore because I'm gonna have this beautiful tank in the way now. I mean, it does look really nice. Fits like a glove, it seems like, around its perimeter. So if you guys are interested in getting a tank like this, this is a Tanks Incorporated tank for EFI systems. Again, the other alternative for this that would essentially get rid of these items here that would come out through the outside underneath the front part of the tank is the aeromotive tank. That way you guys don't have any hoses in here in case there's any pesky leaks with these type of fittings. But anyways, as long as you tighten them up good, they shouldn't leak and it shouldn't be a big issue, but it's kind of an eyesore when you open this. So anyway, I'll probably create some kind of platform on top to sit on top here. That way it covers this part up so you don't see any of the hoses coming out of the pump itself. But yeah, let's take a look at underneath and see what that looks like. All right, so this is the back side of the car here. You guys have all seen this, and don't mind the clutter underneath here, but here's what it looks like. The car is on jack stands, so you can see the tank underneath there. That looks pretty rad. See, it does block the view of the IRS kit, but you know, there's no way around that, so it is what it is. Either way, you can see something trick underneath. You do still see the lower control arms, and I'm actually really glad that I went with that Bengal red so that way you could really see the pop out of that underneath the car. Even at this point here, you do see some control arms there at the bottom, which is pretty unique to these cars because normally these old muscle cars, they all had live axles, so that's normally kind of what you're expecting, but then you can also see the cool coilovers in the back. So hey, it looks cool to me. I'm pretty happy so far. So last thing to wrap this up, I'm just gonna add those Rivnuts to the sheet metal, and then I'm gonna bolt these suckers down, and the gas tank installation is now complete. Then we can work on the plumbing part of that, put that inline fuel filter in, and move on from here. So all right guys, the rivets are now completed. It's actually pretty easy if you have a Rivnut tool. If you want to make some clean holes, use a sharp drill bit in place to where these things used to be screwed into the sheet metal. In addition to that, if you can, there's an alternative Rivnut tool that's a one-hand Rivnut tool. Take a look at that one. That's easier to get into tighter spaces. And if you saw, there's a couple of areas in the trunk where my tool, the bigger one that butterflies open, kind of got in the way a little bit. And you really want to be careful not to, you know, put the Rivnut crooked. That way, you know, your bolt goes in thoroughly through the tank sheet metal and then into your own sheet metal. But I'll just show you guys real quick what that looks like, and then that way you guys get an idea of how much cleaner this will look, rather than just having punched holes into your sheet metal where your gas tank goes. So let's check it out. Definitely much cleaner than just having some holes there, and because these are threaded, you don't run into any issues of them being not locked up properly. This is the tool that I have that I use for this one, but there is a one-hand type of Rivnut tool that you guys can use. You might be able to find it on Amazon or wherever you get your tools at. Double check that place, but This one right here, there's an open spot. There's not one actually on the gas tank, is for a hole at least. I'm thinking since I'm not going to use this, I'm just going to put tape underneath here and put some gasket maker there to keep moisture out, and that should keep that pretty well there. This one, I haven't put this one in yet, but you can see what the Rivnut looks like. In case you're not familiar with these are really cool. Great way, an easy way to make threads for anywhere where you prefer bolts rather than just screwing into sheet metal. Hey guys, well, thanks for sticking throughout this video. I do really appreciate it. I hope that the content I shared with this part of the build for Camilla 68 Cougar was helpful for you if you're looking to do an EFI conversion from carburetor, or if you're like me, you're starting off with EFI. Again, the EFI system that I'm using is a AC's fuel injection that just got released. Check out the website here at the bottom. They're a build partner of Camilla the 68 Cougar. So I'm super excited to get my part 2 package from them. I have the full-on ignition system, distributor, and so forth. So this is going to complete the fuel system that I need. I have all the hoses already and the fittings to get in that stage there. I'm just took a little break on this, so I'm hoping to get back right into it. Now that the gas tank is in, again, I'm just going to finalize that and bolt that bad boy back in, and then I can move on to the rest of the process for this build. So again, please make sure you like this video and you please subscribe to my channel. I got a lot of views on my videos, but not so many subscribers. So if I can ask you very kindly, please subscribe to the channel to help beef things up for me and this build. Anyways, we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks.